Do you ever find that you're having what we often call negative thoughts that are showing up that somebody has told you probably are wrong or aren't the truth or aren't how it goes, but you can't get past it? It just feels like the truth. To give you an example from my life, I have had several times in my life. In fact, I'll give you an example from recently. I was talking with my wife. We were having a conversation. She said something that I immediately kind of, Satan, which you can replace Satan with negative thoughts if that helps you, basically jumped in that moment and basically went, oh, she meant this. Oh, she doesn't like you. Oh, she's thinking that you're not doing enough. Oh, she's thinking that you have to change. Oh, she's whatever. All of these things that suddenly jump in, which I know if I dig deep down, my wife loves me. She's an amazing person. She's so wonderful. She's so supportive. She's so kind. But Satan's jumping in that moment where that negative self-talk or those negative thoughts are suddenly jumping in and making things harder. So one of the things that I started doing, and one of the things that has helped me, is I made basically what I like to call a briefcase of basically, here's my, think of it like a courtroom. I don't know a ton about law, but here's what I kind of interpret it as, and the way I kind of put the story together in my mind is Satan, he shows up, or you can think of your negative self-talk, shows up with their briefcase, their lawyer. They set down their briefcase and they start pulling out what they consider to be the evidence that says you are a terrible person. You can do this later. It will take too long to do this. So you should just whatever, blah, 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 blah. All of these things that are against your value system and what you want to do and who you see yourself as being capable of being. So there's that person, that lawyer that's showing up with all these things that say you're a horrible person. What you need to start doing, and the thing that I started doing, and the thing I would encourage you to help your children to start doing, is I would bring instead, I basically built up my own briefcase of evidence against what was being said. To give an example of a time that I used this, and a time that one of my clients used this, I'll use that as well. But one of the times that I use this specifically is I had a moment where, even in that moment when my wife basically said this thing and Satan showed up and he said, oh man, she thinks you're a horrible person. Oh man, she thinks you're not doing enough. All of these things, I had already beforehand set up basically my evidence briefcase. That in that moment I could be like, well, Satan, actually, here's the evidence that I know that's not the case. She could maybe be thinking something you're saying, but do I know my wife loves me? Absolutely. She's proven it time and time again, and here's 6-7 instances. Do I know she cares about me? Yes, of course. Here's 6-7 instances. Do I know that really this is something that we can easily work through? Absolutely. I have 6-7 instances right in my head. And having this evidence that you can really help. An example from one of my clients is he was really struggling with anxiety at the time. And I've struggled with chronic anxiety and depression for a good portion of my life now. Anxiety for most of it, and depression for probably past 7 or so years. I can't remember the exact date, but it's been about 7 years. With the anxiety for this young man, though, he was having a struggle of anxiety would show up and he wouldn't know how to combat it. Satan would show up and say, oh man, like you have this test coming up, or you have this time when your schedule's going to be disrupted, or something of that sort would show up. And this young man would have this moment of Satan would show up, or this negative self-talk would show up and would say, oh man, here's the issue. What if? All of these things that would say he was either a horrible person or he couldn't do this or what have you. So what we did is I met with him and was like, okay, sweet. Well, let's talk this over. What is going to be your evidence? What evidence do you have against this? Because at the time when we met, he was still feeling anxious about it. He didn't know how to combat it. So I asked him, and I was just honest with him. It was like, what evidence do you have against this? Because oftentimes Satan will basically use the same evidence every time. He won't bring additional evidence to something. He'll just say, oh, it's happened before. Oh, this always happens. When really we have evidence to the contrary. So when I talked to this young man, we came up with 12 or so things that were obvious evidence against the fact. Even just times I had met with him and talked with him and heard how he interacted with the world and the incredible person he was. And so I would encourage you as a parent to aid your child by helping them to come up with an evidence logger. It can even be something as simple as when they say, oh man, like I'm an awful person, or oh man, like I keep procrastinating this, or I don't have the motivation for it, or I can't figure it out. One of the things that you can do is ask in a very simple way of, oh, then what's kind of some evidence to the contrary? Like, for instance, you don't want to take the garbage out. Well, I mean, yeah, that's not fun. It's not a super enjoyable thing to do, to take the garbage out, but what's some evidence that tells us it's probably a good thing to do? And one evidence is, I mean, my mom's going to be happy. That's great. Another thing is, I mean, our house won't start smelling. Another evidence is the next time I go try, that child or whatever goes to try and put garbage in there, it's not going to be full and they're going to have to smash it around or just chuck it around or be frustrated with it themselves. And it suddenly becomes something easier. You can also look at it from a time-based perspective of, oh, it's going to take me like 2 minutes to grab the trash out of the trash can and take it outside, throw it in the dumpster, and be back. Something that'll be really simple and help them to better grasp onto these attacks and better combat them. So I'd encourage you to really try that, to help them to just have some evidence, or at least see that what they're thinking in that moment, there is evidence to the contrary. And specifically, not evidence that is saying, oh man, you're wrong. Oh man, there's something like, I'm the person who you should be listening to. I'm your parent or whatever. But there's specifically evidence that says you're a good person is really important to help, because there's so much evidence that Satan's trying to bring that says your child isn't awesome. Your child isn't amazing. Your child is a horrible person, whatever. So some help that you can offer is helping them to understand and see that there is evidence in that moment. So I'd encourage you to help them in that space to start seeing that. If you found this helpful, if you want to hear more, if you'd like someone to be the coach rather than you having to be both parent and coach for your child, I encourage you to reach out to me. Just send me a text. On the link in the description, you'll find my website. You'll find my number on there. Just shoot me a text, ask me a little bit. Or you can book a free consultation. I'll meet with you and your child at the same time if you'd like to just have a free time to just meet, discuss, see where things are at, see how they're feeling, just see if you'd want to talk to me. And I just encourage you to check those things out. Really, it's totally possible to get through this. You're an incredible parent. Keep it up. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you.
I am writing to highly recommend KC as a life coach for youth. KC is prepared for every meeting and communicates his enthusiasm and straightforward, honest guidance. He is clear about calling out misrepresentations. I have been so impressed with his wisdom and counsel. He works with one of my sons and really takes the time to understand him, connect with him, and encourage him. I occasionally sit in on meetings, and the feedback, invitations, and comments to my son have been very encouraging and insightful. He gives my son tools to cope with the anxieties and weaknesses he faces, and he shares his struggles in appropriate ways to relate. Casey has always helped my son see that his struggles are not him. His value doesn't change when he messes up. He has effectively shared that fundamental gospel principle. I have seen my son light up and set personal goals. My son chooses to face his dragons, and his testimony of Jesus as his Savior is solid. Thank you, Casey. Written by a grateful father.